Hello and welcome to the Just Another Castle podcast. I'm your host Matt, and with me is our resident gaming journalist Eli.
Hello, y'all.
And our retro aficionado Unoclay.
Giggity giggity, giggity goo. Stick around.
That especially goes with the pre-podcast talk.
Yeah, we were talking about some funny stuff before the podcast, and that just worked out perfectly. Giggity giggity, people, what's up? Let's do it.
All right. So I guess
what were they talking about before the podcast? Well, you'll have to tune into our bonus podcast that's behind a paywall to find out.
Yeah. I ain't setting up that work. What do you think I'm made of?
You can run the paywall. I'll do it.
Yeah. All right, so we'll start off with what we've been playing this week. I'm just running around in Zelda. I literally just beat the... I was going to say some sort of number, but I won't. Half of the shrines, the final shrine, well, not the final shrine, but the shrine that would get me to the halfway point. So a lot of shrines. I really hate the ice place. Finding shrines. I think I found like 10 of them or something, but there's one that's like I'm climbing a hill and it gets closer, but if I get to the top of the hill, like the signal's gone, but if I go to the bottom of the hill, it wants me to go up the hill. So I'm like,
you're using the signals? Oh.
Wow, you just got judged by Unoclay, of all people.
I'm rolling back in my chair. I turned that shit off the second I got the game going. I was like, I'm going to find these on my own, but
you're getting judged by Mr. I don't have a smartphone, Clay.
I turned off my pinger. Yeah, dude. Like, I was like, I'm going to go retro on this stuff. Like, man.
There's way too many shrines.
I couldn't stand it. It was binging all the time. I was like, shut up, dude. You know, it was like having something beeping at you all the time. I was like, I'll just find them. Wow. Okay. I see how we roll around here. Yeah. All right. I need Mike to jump in here and be like, yeah, you plebes.
There's some that are like in the middle of a mountain, like you have to climb into, but like I couldn't even find one of those areas around this one shrine. And I'm like, okay, forget it. I'm not bothering it. I got like 10 of them in this one area. Done. Moving on.
No, I hear you. I'm just busting your chops a little bit, but like for me, that's interesting. We never talked about that aspect of the game, and people that haven't played it yet, maybe can you explain? Like, you should explain what we're talking about, I guess, if someone hasn't played Zelda yet, like, and what we're talking.
So
about.
There's shrines spread out throughout the whole world. They're basically like little puzzle dungeons, and a lot of them you can see just, I don't know, on top of the land itself or whatever. You'll see them because they're bright orange and see them in the distance. But some of them you kind of have to look for underneath places in the mountains or whatever, maybe blow up a bomb wall or whatnot. So a lot of them you won't actually be able to see in your view, so you'd have to go out of your way to find them. Purposely look in some weird areas you might not even like stumble into or think about. But basically you have like a GPS sort of thing, so the closer you get to a shrine, it'll beep and it'll show like a signal, and the closer you get, the stronger the signal will get and whatnot. So it gives you like a general area of where to look. It's not at all like entirely accurate.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like bars on a cell phone.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's funny because that explains a lot to me, plus how slow I'm going, because like for the people who are listening who don't want Zelda, we'll probably talk about it for a minute or two here. So if you're really spoiler adverse, like skip ahead a minute or two. But I'm the anti-spoiler one the most, but I've been in the snow region and I spent like 2 weeks in it, combing back and forth across the map, and I didn't even have a tower unlocked, so I had no like map. I just had like the blank map, but I found a ton of like shrines. But that's why I'm going so slow almost, because I am doing that where I'm like combing back and forth, you know, where I'm like, and I get why you would have it on, and I was thinking about it yesterday because I found a really hard shrine in like this bizarre place in the area I'm in now. But then I was thinking like, I think my one of or two of the best moments of the game were when I found shrines in this like crazy place that I never expected to, and was like, what's over here, you know, or what's under this thing, you know, or whatever, that kind of thing. So it's kind of like it's a play style choice almost. Like, do you want to move forward through the game at a reasonable rate, or do you want to like really go molasses slow? Because that's what it requires. Without it, like I really am like, I'm almost like mowing the lawn. You know what I mean? I go back and forth on the map, just like looking under everything I can think of and looking in every corner and like backtracking a lot, like frankly, backtracking a ton where I'm like, I should look at this area from the other direction, kind of thing where I'm like, like you said, you won't be able to see it from some angles or whatever, and then you see like a hint or a cave or a nook or something like that. So Eli, did you play with the ping GPS thing on, or like?
Yes, I did. I mean, the vast majority of the time I could find them without, but I don't know. So I beat, I think I said like 40 of the dungeons, or 40 of the shrines, and out of them maybe like 5 I found thanks to the ping.
Right on. Yeah, I have no idea how. Is there a way to know how many shrines you have?
Yeah, when you go to a loading screen, it'll show a bunch of things on the side, and it'll show you there.
What's the
usually? Oh, I counted that by looking at the number of hearts I had, doing the math.
Right. Yeah, I'll have to look at that later. I have no idea. If I had to guess off the top of my head, I probably have like 30 or more, but I have no idea. Like, that's a total guess. So, Interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Like, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, we never talked about that, and now I can't wait to ask Mike if he shows up. Like, does he use the GPS? Or does he? I don't think he's even playing the game that much, so I'm not sure that he has an answer for that. So.
Yeah, I've turned everything else off though. It's just nicer without all the other clutter. The only thing is I guess weather might get annoying because it'll like rain and I won't see it coming.
Yeah,
well, I guess you'll get some hints, but
I like the rain, but it is frustrating sometimes. Agreed. Like you're just like, not now. I need to climb this thing. It's just like, can you? This sounds so ignorant for a guy who's played like almost 50 hours of the game. Can you change the weather from the base settings of the game? I'm not asking, is there a magic item in the game or anything spoiler like that? Like, is there a way to turn the weather like in the settings?
No,
not that. And I don't think there's an actual, like, I haven't searched up any guides or anything, but I don't think there's an item or anything that changes the weather either. Because it goes in a cycle. I forget what the actual cycle is, but when you have the options on or the HUD mode on, it goes in a specific like order. So it rains at a specific time of day, and it goes through that. So like you can tell, you have some idea of when it's coming. It's always when you don't want it.
Yeah, that's interesting. See, I sound so ignorant, but for anyone who's listening, I've had the HUD off since I started the game. So I'm pretty unfamiliar, obviously, with a lot of that stuff. I'm just like, well, I like the screen looking completely clean and almost like not knowing anything unless like the game unless I find it or something. But anyway, okay, cool. So, but still loving the game, still making reasonable progress or whatever.
Yeah. I'm basically done with the ice area as far as I'm concerned because I don't want to play in that area anymore. I was doing one mini game there, and I branched off into some other part, and I got near a shrine. I'm like, okay, well, I'll make a note of this next time. I'll just replay the mini game, do it right, and then I'll head back down, whatever. And I must have like branched off after I beat the mini game or something, because then I tried finding where this minigame started from, and I couldn't find it for the life of me. And I was trying to find where I thought this other shrine was, and I couldn't find that for the life of me. So I just gave up, and I'm like, okay, I'm frustrated with this area. I'm done. I think I spent like maybe an hour and a half like trying to find this one shrine somewhere, because basically where the shrine was is very obvious, but finding this one part where it is, I couldn't find it because it's so easy to get. As far as I'm concerned, it's so easy to get lost in the snowy area because everything just looks part of the same. Like, oh, there's this familiar hill, but they all look pretty familiar and they're all covered in snow. So it's hard to distinguish the land.
Agreed. I know what you're talking about, but I think you're being respectful for the listeners who haven't played it yet or haven't explored that area. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and I totally know the mini game you're talking about, and I know what you mean. And I'm like, as soon as that happened to me once, I was fortunate enough to like have like tagged the map, like GPS the map. So I was like, oh, I could find my way back. And I did,
but I like reloaded the game so I wouldn't have to spend like the money on the mini game.
Oh God!
So I'm like, well, I'm not spending money. I'm gonna get it right or whatever. And then I did it afterwards, and then I got lost. I'm like, well, I should have just spent the $20 and saved it there because now I don't know where it is. But whatever.
without getting too far off course, like I had, and this could dangerously be spoiler territory because I haven't done a lot of shopping in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But given the amount of gems and like sellable items I have like 1,000 coins in my inventory almost at all time, and I don't feel like I feel like I could probably go and sell off so much stuff that I would have infinite almost amount of money at this point because I've been playing so much and buying so little. Am I crazy for feeling that way?
No, I feel it depends on how
chunk of money.
thorough you're being, because like I definitely found I had enough rupees, but I definitely did not have enough to get every single armor set that I came across as I came across them.
Okay.
I don't know whether you're in that position, but you know, I think it depends just on how thorough you're being and how much exploration you're doing, because I think you can get through the game and not be a flush with cash.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's how it feels to me too, because I'm like spending so much time just exploring. And I pretty much, once I figured out how to get money, again, kind of avoiding spoilers, like it's pretty obvious, but like the main way to get stuff that's valuable, I was like, oh, I just do that everywhere. And I'm like, I just am stacked, and I barely sold any of it because some of the way the wordings were for the things in the sub menus made me think maybe I need to save them for something. And I'm not sure that I'm wrong about that, but I'm just trying to dance around it, like in case there are spoilers here or anything like that I'm not even aware of yet. But like, I just didn't even sell anything, but I've just been slowly gathering money and I've barely bought anything. Yeah, it's weird. Like I'm like,
Clay.
You know, so I'll have a lot of money for when I sort of run into stuff to buy, I guess, at some point, because I really haven't like even felt like there was much to buy in the game in the places I've been so far. So.
You'll judge me for this, but I looked up on Google, what should I sell in Zelda? And
right.
Everything it told me to sell.
Right. Yeah, I'm doing that classic thing where you're being so conservative that you get to the end of the game and you probably didn't use a lot of the things, like, but I don't mind. You know, it's kind of like fun because I think I've kind of figured it out on my own, but I'm not sure. But I never sell off everything, you know, if I need something anyway. So it's just like I'll just sell this or this or this, but I'll keep some of it just in case I need it for something else, you know, whatever. So, yeah. Anyhow, interesting.
I have so many gems and I want to sell them, but I looked up, like, I still don't even know really what to do with them after looking them up. I'll probably have to, like, double check, but I don't think you really need a ton of them, so you could probably sell off, like, a lot, because I have a lot of gems, and I'm pretty sure I don't need all that many. But, but anyway, cool. We'll move on. Eli, you've been playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe this week, so why don't you talk about that?
I have been. So it's Mario Kart 8 on the Switch. Now I was actually really surprised, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions that you have. But I was actually really surprised at how similar it was to Mario Kart 8. Like I hopped in, pressed single player, went to race, and I'm like, this menu is literally identical to Mario Kart 8, and the courses are the same and everything. So I was a little disappointed by that. But then I went to battle mode, and man, oh man, battle mode is a blast. It's got the modes that are really fun. They brought back modes that we haven't seen in a while. They have new modes, like this new mode called, gosh, I forgot what it's called. But it's one where pretty much the goal is to hold on to this item for as long as possible, for 20 seconds in total. And it's everyone else's goal to try to get it away from you. So, for example, they'll throw items at you, whatever, and every time you take a hit, you drop the item. So it becomes this really hectic 8-person, like, everyone against the guy who has this item. Like, it just a complete blast. And there's a video we recorded with Nintendan where we got, like, 8 of us reviewers into this mode, and it was just chaos. It was, all of us at the same time ganging up on each other. It was... I can't understate how fun battle mode is when you get friends together, and when you get a good crew. Unfortunately, my biggest complaint comes from the fact that Nintendo's online infrastructure is still stuck in, in 2002. I'm trying to, like, figure out what year it is that they're still stuck in. Because, like, Xbox Live had voice chat in 2005, so it's, like, before 2005 that they're still stuck in.
The DS era. I was going to say the DS era, but I remember they had a microphone for the DS, so even that was further ahead.
Jeez.
But pretty much, there's no voice chat. It's still the same exact functionality, which is the little commands that you'll be sitting in the menu and you'll be like, "Good game, good luck."
Yeah. The little word balloons above your head, like the pre-program.
All the nice ones.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just a pain in the ass, not gonna lie. And because there's a deficiency of communication. Other than that,
You were playing online? Your matches that you played, you mentioned you were playing online, not locally with like someone else on the same screen or anything like that?
Yeah, I've yet to play locally. I'm going to test it out with a friend soon, but I've been playing online by myself. We just been crew. I mean, right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 people online right now, I'll have you know. But yeah, so the concern is if you don't want to pay $60 for Mario Kart 8, more importantly, I know a lot of people paid for the DLC too. Like I paid for the DLC, so I already spent $75 on Mario Kart 8. Yeah. And if you're one of those people who wants to save some money, there is really no reason to upgrade. However, if you're someone who wants to play on the Switch, if you want, if you don't mind paying, if you're really into battle mode, and let me tell you, it is really fun, then this version's worth picking up.
I'm so torn over this. I've said it before. I am so torn because I was totally like rolling my eyes. I'm not buying this again. I'm a good little fanboy enough at the time. I can skip this one. But then the battle mode trailers really did make it look fun. And that new mode you were describing, it looked even fun on a video. And I was like, wow, like I could see this happening. And this is the first time like I've almost ever felt like this, but I'm in that trap that Nintendo games never drop in value. So I'm never gonna get a chance to like buy this at like a reduced cost. There's never going to be a day where this game is $30. Like that's not going to happen. And I should just like either buy it soon and get the full value out of it over the immediate future when a lot of people are playing and when it's new and fresh, or I should just like decide I'm not, because it's like, it's not going to be in 5. I mean, I bet you, I don't know, but I bet if you try to go to GameStop and buy a copy of Mario Kart 8 on Wii U, it's probably still $40 or $50 like right now, and it's like,
yeah.
And I don't know. I can't decide. Like I have enough stuff to play. It's kind of an easy excuse for me right now to not think about it, that I'd rather spend that money on. But I am a little jealous because that battle mode sounds cool, like you were saying. So it's tough. Was the online support pretty good? Did it seem like it worked fine? I mean,
I've had no issues with drop matches, latency, anything like that. No frame rate drops. The game, I'm just like actually really impressed at how good the game looks, and the fact that the Switch is a little itty bitty piece of hardware, and the fact that it runs this so well. So that is actually really impressive. But no, I mean the online infrastructure, the online features themselves are definitely lacking.
Right. I mean, did you play mainly on a console mode, or did you play mainly in handheld mode?
Probably maybe like 60% TV and then 40% handheld. I've definitely spent a decent amount of time in handheld mode too.
Cool. It looks pretty good in handheld mode because that
absolutely. I'm playing it right now. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell my boss.
So with online, is the voice chat, like obviously they don't have their smartphone app set up, but I guess do you have any info if they're gonna bring in voice chat once they get that app running?
I actually have no idea. I did not. I don't know any secret information if you're asking for that. But I don't. I don't. I haven't seen. And to be completely honest with you, I didn't even know a whole bunch about Deluxe and its new features until I got the review code and started playing it myself and looking it up. I have not been paying attention that closely to the game. Or as closely as I maybe should have. So I have no idea.
You slacking college student. What's up with you?
I'm figuring the answer is going to be no because the first one, like Mario Kart, doesn't really warrant voice chat, I guess. Like it's not really necessary.
Well, hey, actually, I'll tell you. In one of the new modes, which is Renegade, what's it called? It's pretty much like 2 teams of 4, cops versus robbers, and the goal of the cops is to catch the robbers. You have this piranha plant you use to catch them, so your piranha plant will like snatch it like the other team, and then their goal is to release their prisoners from jail. And that game would have been really nice. I mean, that mode would have really
Man, you're
been
making
better.
me want this. You're seriously making me want this when you describe that. I'm like, that's one of the new battle modes, the one you were just describing?
Yeah, it's called, God, what is it called? Renegade something. But yeah, there's
Renegade
four,
Roundup.
Renegade Roundup. There's 2 teams of 4. One team gets piranha plants, the other team tries to run away, and then they try to rescue their people in jail as you capture them.
Oh man, that sounds fun as crap. That's awesome. Right on. I don't have the.
Sorry to make your job harder, Uno.
I know. I can't afford this right now. I've been spending money like water, dude. So, man, that sounds cool though. Excellent. Well, that's a good review there. That's a good review.
Yeah, I mean, as I said though, like you're not going to be left out if you if you skip out on this one, just because it's much of the same.
Yeah. It's just I still play my Mario Kart a little bit. The other night, we went to some different events out in the city, and I got home we'd been at multiple events, so I'd had some drinks, and I get home late at night, and I'm like, I always need a game that's like not too hard, because like I've had some drinks, and it's like late, and I'm tired, and I'm not really awake, and I just want like a nightcap kind of game, and I'm like, oh, Mario Kart, and I throw it in, and I still have fun with it, like every time. It's not, I can see why a lot of people wouldn't feel that way about it, but for me, it's like, Splatoon is pretty intense, where it like doesn't always work for that kind of mindset, where I just want to lay back. But Mario Kart's like just kind of a simple but deep enough game that it's like right in that sweet spot. So I still play my Mario Kart occasionally here and there, like even on Wii U, even though I played it a ton already, so I'm the right person who's supposed to be rebuying it. I don't know. There's a lot of things to spend money on lately, and it's a lot of games, a lot of good games, and a lot of stuff coming that I haven't bought, that's already in the eShop. So, interesting. I don't know.
Cool.
Well, take care.
All right. So Unoclay, what have you been playing?
Nothing new to report really. Same old Zelda, enjoying it like a couple nights a week here and there, doing a little bit.
Have you beaten Divine Beast yet?
I have one. I have one of them. Right?
Oh my god.
Was this the first one in a while or at all?
No, just one. Just one.
This is just one, period.
Wait, no, I'm rephrasing. Was there a previous podcast where you mentioned that you actually beat one? Or is this the most...
I think I hinted at it, but I never said the word Divine Beast because I didn't want to like spoil anything. But
yeah,
I think I very vaguely phrased that I beat something big in the game. So yeah, I've done one, and like so. I mean, I even have those markers turned off on my map, so I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
So it's like you know what I mean. So it's just kind of like wandering, and like I'm just being sporadic about it. But yeah, I've made some progress.
Should we place over/under bets on when Clay beats at the game?
You won't want to do that. Like, I mean, like it's like because you have to do it behind my back. Because like I'd just be contrary then and stretch it even longer than anyone bets. So
yeah, but
post in the chat which one you beat, and then I'll like ask vague questions about it.
Oh, okay. I've got to make the chat be open. Okay.
Just because I'm curious. Okay, yeah. I did that 1 second. So what did you think of it?
I thought it was shorter than I expected, but it was really, given that I thought it was like I was expecting this mega dungeon, and it was not very big comparatively speaking, but it was really scenic and really cool and pretty. It wasn't very hard. So I don't want to know from you guys. I don't want to like find out whether I should expect it to be like that in the other ones, but I'm prepared for it to be like that in the other ones if it ends up being that way. That I was like, wow, like that was, I still love this game, but that threw me off a little bit. Like that I was expecting it to be like a couple hours worth of content, and it was not that. I was like, oh, like this. I was expecting with all the other stuff in the game that's mostly like bite size. I was expecting those to be much, much bigger affairs. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like it's hard to talk about this without spoiling stuff for listeners who haven't gone through it yet. So anyhow,
I've only beat two of them, but I think that out of the two that I've played, I think that was the more simpler, like straightforward ones. So I think one of the other ones, I guess I won't say to ruin it for you or whatever, but I think one of the other ones is more interesting
Okay. I didn't find it uninteresting. I just was like short, like less content than I expected. I was like, well, I spent like an hour there, but like that's not what I expected. Because like I think back to like Ocarina, and you get like the first time you ever do like, the underwater temple, or I'm just stretching to try and remember, or the first time you're out in the desert and you get thrown in jail, and it takes you like hours in my memory to like figure it out, where you're just like, geez, this is hard, like how to solve this temple, or whatever you want to call it, this dungeon or whatever. So clearly this game's developed in a different way, and I shouldn't be surprised. We've known that since the day we turned it on, but hey, whatever. I'm not disappointed. It was just it caught me off guard. But other than that, what I've been playing this week that I wanted to mention was I'd been all winter. Like here's a funny gamer story. Maybe some people can relate to. All winter, like I've been setting up my retro studio a little differently, where I've got all my systems in one place. All my old, well, not all of them, but like a lot of my old systems all in one place, all running through the Frame Meister that I talked about before, running to a TV, and I've got like a pretty good setup where I can play a lot of my older systems, about 5 of them, all hooked up to one situation where it works out real nice. But I had this crappy old couch that's like not very comfortable, and it was my grandparents', and it was like one of those old fold-out couches that like when someone can sleep over, they can like fold it out and sleep on it. But it's like really old. It's seriously like 20 years old. It was in okay condition, but it's not very comfortable to sit on for long periods of time. It's like it's not like a modern comfy couch. You're just like, it's a little stiff, and you're just like, ugh. And I didn't know what to do about this. And I started to have the fantasy of having the ultimate beanbag chair. And my wife is just like, what are you, 14? And I'm like, basically, like, does it make me 14 to want a beanbag chair? I don't know. Like, well, I had one when I was 14 and I miss it. And I want to be comfortable when I play my old Nintendo. So what? And I'd been researching around. And here's the thing. For any listeners who are sitting there on the edge of their seat and are like, dude, I want a beanbag chair too, man. Thanks for speaking up for me, Unoclay. Like, here's the thing I'm here to tell you. Beanbag chairs have evolved a lot, and they are not cheap anymore. They are like expensive. They are like premium now. Like, sure, you can go to Target and buy some crappy beanbag chair that's gonna like bust in a year, or it's not gonna be even like the right size. I'm over 6 feet tall. I can't sit on one. I can't sit on one of those beanbag chairs for kids. Like, it doesn't even work. So I started researching around, and let me tell you, some of the companies that make these things now are charging, I am not kidding you, like $700, $800 for a freaking beanbag chair for an adult. I know. And I was like, no way am I paying that. Like, no way.
Only if it was Snorlax themed.
Only if I was enough into Pokemon that would sell me, then maybe, yeah. Like, or if it was a giant Pikachu that like made funny Pikachu noises when I sat on it, then maybe that would be a little pervy. We'll get to the pervy stuff later in the podcast, I have a feeling. But no. And then I had gone to a GamerCon. Wrapping this up, I'd gone to a GamerCon last year. That was like here in Pennsylvania, where they had a whole area of beanbag chairs. And it was sponsored by a company called Yogi Bo. And we can go ahead and say this podcast is sponsored by them, because I am going to give them my lock of the week ringing endorsement of the most affordable, best beanbag chair I could find. It was still $200, but it is big enough that at 6'3", I can sleep on it. And I'm not joking, and like be super comfortable. But more importantly, you can like shape it different ways. You can make it like into an easy chair. You can make it into like a kickback on the floor, like kind of beanbag, like you're imagining. It's really like uniquely tactile. Like you can shape it different ways for whatever. Like right now I'm sitting in it like a desk chair to talk on this podcast. And then I'm going to kick it back after this podcast and play some Donkey Kong Country and be all reclined in it. And it is amazing. And I'm totally loving it. It's like I sat there and played Donkey Kong Country and thought, this is how I want to die. If the heart attack is coming, you can come now, because I am in heaven.
That sounds like it goes against the idea of a beanbag chair, because a beanbag chair is just like, here's an amorphous blob with like beads or whatever in it. Yours sounds like it's one of those stuffed animals where it has a wire in it so you can kind of like bend it.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm doing the. Can you hear it? I'm doing the sound effect right now. Get a sound effect there?
No.
Nope.
It
okay, you
like
can't
you're
hear
rubbing fabric.
Yeah.
Which is a bit creepy.
That's what it was intended to be creepy. It doesn't have wires in it. It's purely beans, but it's pretty weird. It's really hard to describe. They have stores, and I found a store at a mall that's only like 20 miles from our house. So I wanted to go see it, obviously, and try it out. And the weirdest thing is, like, you can stand it up like on its end, and it's like 5 feet tall, and it just stands there. It's like a lump, like a giant fat person standing there. And then you can just like throw it down on the ground, and it's like a bed, and it's pretty crazy. I was like, okay, like my wife was like rolling her eyes. She went with me, and we walk in the store, and I'm like, I'm already sold. And she's just like, oh man. And the funniest thing is, on the way home, she started to like, I could tell she was starting to get a little jealous that she's like, well, maybe we could figure out if it's comfortable enough to sleep on, and we could get another one for like when guests come, and then we'd have two for people to sleep on. And I'm like, an hour ago, you were like, no dice, Lebowski. Like, we're not getting these beanbag chairs in our house. And then, like, all of a sudden, she's already jealous. And she's been holding out, I could tell, for the last couple of days. She hasn't come and tried it, to my knowledge. She's been, like, ignoring it, like, because it's in my gamer cave. But, like, I could tell she's, like, weakening. That she was like, it does look pretty comfortable after all. So, yeah, so it's pretty sick, and I totally recommend it. It's called a Yogi Bow, like Yogi Bear, but Yogi Bow, and it delivers. I'm telling you, I was totally pumped with my new purchase, even though it was $200. I'd sort of been saving money on the side, like throughout the winter, because I knew I wanted to get rid of that couch, and I was just like, I pulled the trigger. So gaming upgrade, big time, guys. I'm telling you. Yeah, well, that's what I've been playing, a beanbag chair, bros.
Cool. Nice. All right, so we're going to go start with the more interesting news, and then kind of trail off with some little tidbits. But we were talking about the NES Classic last weekend, that they canceled it. And since then, there's been a rumor that there's going to be a SNES Classic coming this year, which is kind of weird. It looks like maybe rather than having both the NES and SNES, maybe they planned to have the SNES come out after the NES, but it was just that they had to cut it for whatever reason. So do you think they should have had both of them on the market, or is it better that they're just like, well, this was part of our plan, we can't help that, we couldn't sell enough, we got to move on to the next thing?
Eli, I've been talking to Tom. What do you think about the SNES Classic coexisting with the NES or whatever, or what's going on with that?
I'm annoyed that they moved on so quickly. I feel like they left the NES Classic as unfinished business the way it was handled, and we talked about it a little bit last week, how maybe it didn't bring in enough revenue to justify a continued supply line, how, that was probably the biggest reason, really. But if you're going to continue the line, I feel that you've got to do it right. And what that entails is making sure that everyone who wants an NES Classic gets one, that you brag about its success, and then you put out your SNES Classic in a way that construes. I mean, I would even be okay with multiple versions, NES Classic version 2. I don't know, I'm just annoyed. Also, it seems to conflict with the idea that they might put out a subscription-based. I mean, we already know that, you get one game a month with their online, but I mean, they would make so much money if they just had even like a little machine. Like, let's say they had a $50 emulator machine, and then they sold a subscription for $15 a month to their entire catalog of old games. How rad would that be? Or even if they cycled out, 50 games a month, added 10 new a month, took away 10. Yeah. People would pay for that. Yeah, I don't know.
Crazy.
It would. I think so too. Matt, what are you thinking? Like, how do you feel about it? Your own question. Like, should they have had them coexisting? Like, that seemed to be your question. Should they have coexisted at the same time, like on the shelves, or what?
I don't know, because to me it seems like this was their plan. Like, they kind of said it, but maybe that was just so they don't piss people off. But I'm kind of thinking maybe that was their plan. Like, oh, we'll just have the NES for this Christmas because we don't really have anything big. Then we'll cut it out after a couple months, and then just use this factory or whatever to start SNES production in a couple months to get that going, sort of thing. And then, people obviously bought it because why wouldn't they? Apparently they didn't think fans would buy it. And then they're like, well, we can still have it open for a couple months, so I guess we'll sell whatever we can, but by X date, which I guess is March or April or whatever, we got to cut it off so we can, transition this to the SNES kind of factory and then pump those out. So I don't know, maybe it's weird because if they're making money from it, I mean, I guess they're not, we can't really gauge how much money they're making from it because they haven't really stocked the stores that well from what we've heard. So, I mean, it's not that hard to sell out of something if you only have 3 units at a store. But I don't know if it's selling, like you would think that you would want to continue it anyway. Like even if you realize like, oh, like even if your plan was, okay, we'll shut down this factory and, use it for the next thing. You think you would have realized, oh, this thing is selling a lot better than we had planned. Maybe we should invest in this more and keep selling it because we're going to be selling it for several months if we do it this way.
You would think that, but this is a Nintendo podcast, so you'd be forgiven for not thinking that because
yeah.
Better than to assume anything that makes complete 100% normal sense would not be the direction to go in. Like that is, we got to remember that every time we get frustrated, we got to remember that. Like that is part and parcel of what we like about Nintendo. They are freaking insane. And we kind of banged on this nail a lot last week. So it's just like, whatever, like, they don't make entire sense. Like, yes, it would be nice to give them money. Do they want it? Apparently not. Like, they want to do something different and maybe lose money on the next thing they do, or maybe make money. Who knows?
I'm just curious at what led them to these decisions. Like, what is the business motivation for making this decision versus something else?
I think the answer to that is either we'll find out. We should remember to revisit this question once the online service launches, because maybe something about that will answer it, because that's always been my theory. Like that, well, not mine alone. It's a lot of people's theories that they maybe don't want to pirate their own sales or appeal of their online catalog whenever this online service Switch launches by like somehow offering you the same games on the Nintendo Mini, where people are going to have bought the Mini and be like, I don't want to buy X game again on the subscription service. I already have it on my Mini. So they're cutting it off where they whetted the appetite of the market, but they really want Switch to be the thing you buy. And that's my personal theory. It makes the most sense to me. But yeah, I wanted to ask something before we go too far down this rabbit hole. Like, I mean, like, has the Super NES been anything other than heavily rumored in the press? Like, there was a stock listing for it or something that triggered all this, right?
I forget. I'll have to pull it up.
Yeah. I just feel like it was something pretty small. So it's almost like we should just like warn listeners, if you're somehow just about this, that like it's in no way confirmed yet. Like it's
confirmed, says Clay of just another podcast.
It's easy to like it's just like politics. It's easy to start repeating something and then forget that the thing you're repeating is like not exactly true, like or it's just a theory, So
it's 100% true, says Clay of Just Another Castle podcast.
Fake news, Eli Palasalon. I can never say your name, Eli Palasalon.
But that's not my last name is just Paulus. My username is all weird.
I did not know that was your real last name. Oh, that's interesting. There you go. Well, you just told the whole world, not just me.
Well, okay, ready for this story. Ready for this intense story?
I used to just think it was pronounced Pales.
Okay, ready for this intense story?
Yeah.
My dad actually made my email when I was in 3rd grade, and he decided to be all cool. So he put my last name, which is Paulus, followed by the first 2 letters of my first name, which is Eli, followed by the first 2 letters of my middle name, which is Andrew. So Paulus. L.
Okay. I'm putting it together. It's an amalgam handle. I got you right on, man. Nice little history there. Nice. That's you're blowing my mind by the idea that like you are so much younger than me that your parents made your email account.
Well, I'm more shocked that you got an email address at 3 years, or did you say grade 3?
So
I was 3 years old. Clearly not 3 years old.
I was 8 years old? So I was 8 or 9 years old when I got my email.
Okay.
So I've had it for 12 years now. Hey, I adopted email pretty early on. Okay.
I think I got one at like 11, maybe 11 to 13, something like that.
Oh, you guys, man, you just making the retro guy on the podcast feel old.
He's like, I remember when I had a pager.
Clay's looking back and he's like, I'm still using carrier pigeons. I don't know.
It's funny because it's true. Yeah, but anyhow, what else is in the news? What else?
I was going to say the SNES Mini was from Eurogamer, who I think reported some other Switch rumors and whatnot.
Right. I think it's probably legitimate. I just wanted to bring that up because I was thinking like it's getting out of control with like every news site like posting like, what's your dream list of like games for the SNES, and all that kind of stuff, and what's realistic to expect on it, and I'm like, nothing yet. I'm like, nothing is realistic to expect on it yet because they haven't announced it. Nintendo's insane. Did you not notice what they just did? It's like just because somebody had a stock listing or whatever, But anyhow, yeah, I believe it's probably going to happen, and I think it'll be a huge raging success that nobody will be able to buy, and that's it, So
quick note, you were saying your thought process of their thought process is that having another console or whatever would cannibalize their virtual console sales, but they keep releasing the same damn games and they expect people to keep buying them, and they see people keep buying them, so I don't see why they would think that conflicts.
Except that it would be so close together would be one reason, because it'd be like, oh, I just bought like Super Mario Brothers 3 and 2 and 1 and like whatever other games are on the mini NES, I just bought the...
It's the box factor, right? Or the collector factor. Like, ooh, I have a miniature SNES here.
Yeah.
Versus I just got like a digital thing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to read, but we've beat this into the ground. Yeah. So like, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. And then when they release the list of games, we'll at least have something to talk about, because SNES, a lot of people hold SNES higher than the original NES. It's like I noticed it's kind of a hot topic among people of my age. Like, your loyalty, it's a worthy debate, I feel like, as well, even as someone who has both of them sitting within a foot of me and adores both systems. Like I would have a hard time picking between them, but I'd have to go original NES, but it's because as much nostalgia as anything right there. And I'm totally open to the idea of like a Super Nintendo being the better of the two originals, like, or the first two systems or whatever you want to say. But I could see, I mean, like Super Nintendo is a little nerdier of a system and a little bit less classic appeal, but like with gamers, there's no shortage of people who just adore it so hard that it would be like, just give me now, I will pay $100 for this thing, if you price it, that high, or whatever. It's very real. That the love for that system can't be underestimated, like any less than the original NES. So should be interesting if they do it. So. Yeah.
All right, so the other interesting news topic of this week is there's an app coming to the Switch. We don't know when, who knows. It's called the Rainway app, still in development. It's a free app that basically you can stream your PC games to any device or whatever they support. So in this case, Switch, Xbox, iOS, and Android. And someone showed an example of The Witcher 3 being on a smartphone. It was just a screenshot, so I mean you can't really judge it too much based off that, but providing it works properly, like let's say my Steam Link, which streams my games from my PC to my television, or apparently the NVIDIA Game Stream, do you think this could increase the sales of the Switch, being able to play multi-platform games that aren't on the Switch, and being able to play them around your house?
Eli, your turn again. Like, what do you think?
I think it would be pretty cool, but then the question is, why would you need a Switch to do that? There's so many different ways you can play multi-platform games around your house without the need for a Switch. I mean, if you have a Vita, which is probably now cheaper than the Switch, you can stream that way. If you've got a Steam Link as you have, which is really cheap, you can stream that way. I really don't see why. I mean, it'll be a nice bonus for those of us that have a Switch, but I don't think it's going to honestly be able to sell units. But I will say this: if anyone could sell a system that way, it's probably Nintendo. If they could run ads of those types of games running on their system, even on like regular TV showing those games selling on their system, I mean, it's just a good look to have.
I mean, when you say you wonder. Like you kind of say, well, okay, so there's other ways you can do what that would offer. But my reaction is, yeah, but then you got to buy this controller, and like buying a decent controller to pair with your Steam Link, you got to have that. Like, I guess you have to have that anyway with your computer.
I think the Steam Link basically works with like almost any controller. Like I use my Wii U Pro controller, for instance. I'm sure you can use a PS3 controller or whatnot. Like I'm pretty sure you have a controller.
Well, let me think it through because maybe I'm just missing something when he says that. So you can stream it. Sure, you can stream it to another TV, but like the Switch's portability is the attractive factor that you're like, well, if you could stream this to a Switch, now you've solved two things. You don't only have an easy way now to stream to your TV, which granted a Steam Link already can do, but now you have a portable version of it too. And I mean, I think that's a huge selling factor that it's like just like the Switch itself. It's like, well, now I can play Steam on the John. Okay, let's just admit it. That's where you want to play Steam. You want to play it in the bathroom. So like,
what's with everyone and pooping and playing games? Just get your filthy hands off my controllers and crap. Never letting me borrow it.
I will put my filthy hands wherever I so choose.
Just as long as it's not on my crap.
I'm just telling you what I heard. I don't do it myself. I'm telling you what I heard.
Sure. A friend of yours is asking, Justin.
Yeah, a friend of mine really wants to crap and play Zelda. Like, how can he do this, Nintendo?
The shrines do look like toilets.
You go into them. It's great. It's a beautiful metaphor. But yeah, I see what you're saying, Eli. But I mean, maybe I would even leave tabling that, like understanding that there are other ways to do it. Granted, I'll accept that. One thing that occurs to me is Nintendo's never going to let this happen. I just don't think it's realistic. Nintendo's too conservative to let this happen, and that's my gut speaking there. I don't have any data. I don't have any news reports on that to cite. I'm just like, that's like the kind of thing. The second I hear it, I was like, yeah, right. Nintendo greenlights that for the eShop, like that. It would be like them ceding control of their own hardware in a way they're not prone to doing. I mean, like, for God's sake, they didn't let us have YouTube or Netflix like at launch for this. We don't have it yet.
Well, I don't think that was like them trying to gate apps off. I think that was just like they didn't bother contacting these companies and like working something out.
It could be, but like at the same time, like indie devs, like there was one of the indie devs that just got greenlit for something. I was reading an article on that they said they're coming to Switch. I don't remember what game it is. It's not important. But their wording was interesting because they were being a little snarky in the wording that they were like, we were very patient and at long last, we finally gotten the go-ahead from Nintendo to be on the Nintendo Switch. It took several months longer than we thought. It was something to that tune. Mm-hmm. And that's not a new story. That's just the most recent one. It was in the last couple of days of Nintendo really like, it's good and it's bad because they're interested in quality control and they're interested in like having kind of a presence on like gatekeeping their own system. They didn't do it very well with the Wii and we saw what happened, shovelware. But that was kind of like one of the lesser times that's happened with Nintendo where they went gloves off and everybody under the sun just made something for their system and that was it. There was I just don't see this happening. I want to believe it will because finally I would have a way to justify playing Steam on a more like I've played one or two Steam games in my life. Like I have a Steam account, but I just don't have the time for it. And I don't want to get sucked down another gaming rabbit hole of like too many games to play and not enough time. Mm-hmm. So I don't use it or use it very sparingly. But if I could justify like, I can like get some Steam games and carry them around on my Switch when I go on vacation, you'd probably start to see me do that a little bit. I would love it, but I just don't believe it's real. So,
so Eli says he has to head out. So, any final thoughts or whatever you want to plug?
Yeah. Well, thanks for the podcast. I love you all. You can find me on Twitter at PaulaSalon. On YouTube, I swear there's eventually videos coming, but like I'm busy and there's Europe and whole other conversation. We can find me there, Nintendo Network 64, and then find my review of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's a good game. On Nintendo Enthusiast and Enthusiast.gg. Is there anything else I want to add? No, I don't think there is, but I just like occupying the mic. Hashtag occupy the mic.
Just don't spike the mic. I gotta edit this crap.
Occupy and spike. Hashtag
occupy the mic. Hashtag drop the mic. I don't know if that sounded anything like a mic dropping, but I'm out.
A little bit, but it's hard to believe it because you're still here. Later, man.
Right, see you. So, just going back to this Rainway app for a second. The guy was talking on Reddit, and I read a couple of things, and he said it will be available on the eShop. Now, I do kind of agree with you. This does, like even though the guy says it apparently will be on the eShop and they're starting to work on betas and whatnot, it does seem, I don't know, I also have a hard time believing this would be a thing that actually comes to fruition, because it just seems so weird. Like, technically they're not doing anything wrong with the hardware. All it is it's connecting, the app is connecting to the internet, and it's streaming from your computer to whatever the IP, not the IP address on your Switch, but basically it's connecting through the internet. So it's not like, so it's not like you're downloading anything that's really touching the Switch's hardware in any sense.
Right.
But it also seems like a weird thing that I would have trouble Nintendo would actually do, just because, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like something they would be up for. Like, oh, you can access these other things.
Yeah, it doesn't pass the sniff test, as we say. It's like what the heck? Like Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo's first thought, I hate to say it, but would be a little bit of a selfish one. They'd be like, this is going to mean people not buying our games and like not and straying, I say, outside of our ecosystem. I mean, if they were sensible, and a lot of times I try to take their side on that kind of stuff, because like, for being as insane as they are and like throwing money down the toilet, like as they do, they do have that Apple sensibility of like, we do it our way, and sometimes that works and sometimes we don't. Like, sensibility as a company, and they're not privy to just like doing the next hot thing. Like, everyone else does VR, we better do VR. It's not how they roll. And so I respect that about them a lot, and that's sincere. Even when they don't message very well, they don't explain their decisions very well. They sometimes are very opaque on purpose, and sometimes they're opaque to probably hide that they're messing up. It's mastering that messaging that they haven't ever quite done for some things, or maybe they just don't care in some way. They're like, you know what? We're just not going to talk about this because we don't care what you think about us cutting off supply of this item, or not releasing a sequel to this series that you love for 15 years, things like that. Like we don't care, like we will do it when we want to. This kind of thing is one of those things, like if they come out against it, I'd probably say I'd fall on the other side of it, because like I've been saying, and we've talked to death on this podcast before, I stand firmly in the corner of like, Nintendo's never going to win the AAA war with the other consoles at this point. Not right now anyway, not in the foreseeable future. They're not going to be able to go head to head for the Call of Duty, like Assassin's Creed machine audience, GTA audience, Overwatch audience. That's not where the game's at for them. They need to be the platform where they have Nintendo, and they need to have indie. And having a partnership between Nintendo and Steam in any form, even if it's just a tenuous link like this, not a partnership, but like a linkage between the two ecosystems, I just think it would be good for them, because that would get a lot of good gamer support, a lot of good like spirit from people who aren't really in the Nintendo like loyalist mentality, but they'd be like, this is awesome. I have a little tablet that's got built-in controllers. It's a sturdy, firm, well-made piece of hardware. And now I can play my Steam library on it. Like, I mean, I just game over to me almost, it's like, and then, and now I'll be Mario Galaxy or Mario Odyssey, and maybe I'll try out some of these other games here or there, which is better than them not buying any of those things at all. It's much better. Get them in the door, sell them a few things, let them play their Steam library, and maybe every Christmas they buy a new Nintendo game, for their Steam, for their Switch. I don't know. I just think it would be good. And I can see Nintendo totally not agreeing, just being like, nope.
And I think it's early enough in the process. Like they don't even have anything out there, just starting like on a beta. I think it's early enough in the process where like they could easily be like, yeah, it's coming to eShop, and then like it doesn't. Like maybe if it was like, oh, we're launching on, May 24th or something like, and they said it was coming to the eShop, like then I would believe it more, because it's like there's a definitive point. But here it's just like kind of up in the air, so we'll see.
Agreed.
But
this could be like a, it's going to be a we will build it, you will come, or if we build it, they will come kind of thing. Like we'll start talking about it, and then we'll have meetings with Nintendo and be like, everybody's talking about how great this app is going to be, and Nintendo, we don't care. You know? And they're like, wait, what? And they're like, we don't care that your app is going to be great. Like it's tough noogies, like get out of here. It
will be interesting. I do want to see where this heads.
I would buy it. I would.
It says it's free. I don't know how they're gonna compensate for that.
Yeah, it
maybe
doesn't
I
make
guess a
any
bunch
sense.
of ads. But
Whatever.
I would definitely use this over my Steam Link, providing that it like works well, because I don't particularly like using my Steam Link. I guess like I haven't really used it much. I've used it for at least one game for a couple hours, maybe 5 or 6 hours or something like that. But I don't know. I don't really like the process of it. So if it was on Switch,
Yeah.
I'd probably be up for that.
That's why. That's what I was saying. Like, it would make it more
It's
elegant
easy.
and seamless and handy. You'd have it right there on your little portable gaming tablet. Like, it wouldn't be all that set up.
Just load it
As my
up.
friend-
Maybe it turns my computer on and loads the thing, or I don't know. Whatever.
You
It'd
probably
be
have
so
to
much
turn the
fun.
computer on separately. But anyway, we're speculating now. I'm
Well,
really
the Steam Link, I think, turns my shakes my computer on if I
that's
try to start a game or something. But anyway, I think that wraps it up for that topic. So we'll move on to some quick news, or try to make it quick. So Best Buy apparently is going to have. I should have said this at the beginning because it was supposed to be like whatchamacallit, I guess just reminding people. Public service announcement. Bit late in the podcast, but
listen. This is a reminder for the loyal
Yeah.
listener, right?
Yeah, if you're loyal and you don't listen to actual internet news that every other website has put out, good luck. We have some news for you.
Our podcast is for you.
Yeah, we're only like a week late, but so apparently Best Buy is going to have NES Classics and Switches, and apparently Toys R Us will also have Switches. Best Buy will have NESs on Monday and Switches on Friday, and Toys R Us will have Switches on Fridays. What?
Yeah. Which is over. Like, the NES Classic thing already happened, so that's out.
Did it?
You missed
I thought it was. Right, that was yesterday.
Yeah, that for people in the real world was yesterday.
even if we record this on the proper day, it still would have been over.
Yeah, we're recording on Tuesday,
Wow.
people, so forgive that little slip up. Matt lives in Canada.
I woke
Canada,
up at 6:30 this morning, so I didn't really double check this. I just put this news together today.
In Canada, it's
yeah.
Learn Day, and tomorrow is Wonk Wonk. You guys have different days. I know this. So in America, it's over anyway.
Yeah. Well, the Switch is coming out on Friday. Still, half of that news piece is still relevant.
Yep.
But you probably won't be able to pay it. Anyway, apparently, Hey Pikmin is developed by the Yoshi's New Island team, which a lot of people didn't like that. So I guess don't set your expectations high for this Pikmin game.
Yeah, it sucks. I know. I'm hoping that was like a one-off, and maybe this is a better one, because I didn't hear much good about that Yoshi game. Yoshi's Woolly World is pretty great, great game, but different company. So yeah, unfortunately.
I think I got it for free on the 3DS. Maybe from like some Club Nintendo thing. I played it for a bit. I didn't really care for it. I'm not even sure why, because it seems like the same kind of flow as the SNES game or something. I don't know. There's something about it that I didn't really care for, even though I liked Yoshi's Island.
Yeah. Yoshi's Island is a tough series because it's been a rocky road for them to duplicate the success of that game. Like, in my mind, like I wasn't surprised when the one you're talking about, what is it called, Yoshi's New Island or whatever, didn't do very well, because I thought to myself, that first one, it's got that very hard to define fun factor that Nintendo can nail, just like nobody else. But sometimes it's really hard to repeat that. And that game is such a unique game, that makes it fun. Its art style isn't quite babyish, isn't quite adult. And then ever since then, even Yoshi's Woolly World is just an awesomely adorable game, but it's almost too adorable and too cutesy, but it's still pretty good. But every time I play it, and I'm still playing it, I haven't quite finished it yet. So every few weeks I'll pick it up and play another level, or try to go back to a level where I didn't get all the things and play a level. And I always think this game is awesome. Yoshi's Woolly World is just so good if you missed it. Just so cute. And I know it's out for 3DS now with the dog version. Poochie, Yoshi and Poochie's World, whatever they called it. Didn't play that, but I have it for Wii U, so no real reason to. But it's a little different because it's that Super Nintendo magic, and the art style is just very specific. So I'm not too shocked that this series is struggled to kind of get back to that level. It's like Star Fox a little bit. You're oh, that first game. It's so original.
They
so
made
unique.
one game and then made 3 remakes of it, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
think
That's a little. Yeah.
I think Star Fox Command, well, besides Adventures, if you want to count that. Sorry. Assault was basically the next, like, actual game. And then Command, I think, was the next, like, actual one after that. Because 64, 3D, and ostensibly Zero are basically just remakes of the original to an extent. So
That's fair.
weird.
I think that's a little bit of the same problem with Yoshi's Island, because they're trying to. It's the same mechanic, very similar play ideas, like shooting eggs around, flutter hopping, finding like hidden areas. That's, I mean, in one way that's fair. I mean, like lots of video game series are like that. You kind of just Mario Brothers, for God's sake, everything else, like every game series that goes on for a certain amount of time, that's the struggle. Like, how do you reinvent it? And if nothing else, we can just move on from this. Like, when I think of like, for years to come, the touchstone, I hope not the only one, but the touchstone for this discussion is going to be, but look what they did with Zelda. After 20 years of making a very similar pair of kind of Zelda games, the top down or the 3D, they just blew our minds, and just completely reinvented it. So hope is not lost. This hope is not lost. They just need to always do this with their series every now and then. They need to do these complete reboots that are like, we're not worried about pleasing the fans of Yoshi's Island 1, where you're flutter hopping and you're aiming your eggs, and whatever. We're just gonna think differently. And I think they do try to do that a lot, but they need to do this more in the Zelda way. Just go deep, go deep and go big, and see if you can reinvent the wheel every now and then, because that's what I think Yoshi's Island would need for the next one. For me, I'm I don't really need to play that same Yoshi's mechanic again and again and again and again. It's new things are good. So,
I think they've changed it up enough, but I can see maybe you just want to see something different. I think Yoshi's story was pretty good as far as Yoshi games go.
Neat. I think I heard that from people that they liked it okay, but it didn't look radically different enough for me to care. I think the Yoshi's...
It was, I think, the first Yoshi game I played, so to be fair. Oh, right. And I can see why some people might not like it as much as the SNES one, because it is, I guess, linear. I don't know, just the way the levels are designed aren't as, I guess, free-flowing or open. But I thought it was still a good game. It was kind of easy because you just got to get enough fruit to pass the level, sort of thing. So, but
the SNES one's magic is that it's made so similarly in a similar time period and so similarly mechanically, under the hood mechanics as Mario World, which it's I think its subtitle is Mario World 2 or whatever. And it's there's something that's hard to put your finger on when you play it, but it's similar in some way, that you're you can feel it. And that, Mario World is one of the greatest platformers of all time. And that's not a bad pedigree. When you have a game that's similar to that, that you can feel it when you play it, even though it's completely different mechanically game in many ways, there's something about it that you're yeah, this is exactly the flavor I wanted, that kind of feeling. That's a little bit of a tall mountain for them to climb, given that, so anyhow, Yoshi.
So there's only a couple of things left. Bomberman apparently got a lot of updates. There's more maps. They adjusted a lot of things like the difficulty and the story and whatnot. They made it 60 frames per second. Some story gem fixes and whatnot. So it seems like they launched this game half finished with how many things they retooled and added. It's really weird. But the weirder thing was they're adding free DLC Konami related skins. Sorry, I was thinking Kojima. For a second I was reading it and thinking, wait, is Konami the right word here? And I got it right. Yes, it's Konami. Kojima is the one that wouldn't make sense. Because Konami is this company. But yeah, they're adding some Konami skins. Vic Viper, I didn't know the character's name. It's a Gradius skin, Simon Belmont, and Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. That's the weirdest one, because Bomberman is kind of a child, not childish as in bad, but I mean obviously a kid-friendly looking game, and you have this Pyramid Head guy. It's from a horror game where gruesome things happen. So it's weird to see that.
Totally. But I mean, cool. They're a strange company, given everything they're doing these days or not doing. So it's to me, I saw that and I thought that was funny too. I was that's a little out of place, but hey, cool, like that's kind of cool in a way too. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this might be stretching it a bit, but maybe Konami is kind of coming around and being like, okay, well, maybe we should invest in these characters again. Like, obviously, they're just costumes, but it seems like they're putting some kind of effort into this Bomberman game. They got people from past Bomberman games working on this and whatnot. So, to me, it kind of signals that maybe the company is kind of turning around and might go back into making like actual games versus just kind of whoring out their characters and whatnot for pachinko machines.
I won't want to get
it's a bit of a stretch, obviously, but
yeah, hard to say. There's life there.
I think there's like a Castlevania show coming. I think, I think it's supposed to be like Hard R or something like that. So it seems like they're trying to kind of get back into the swing of things. I mean, well, I guess to be fair, that TV show was probably in development a couple of years ago, but
hard to say. But yeah, I hear you. I want to be hopeful too, because I was explaining Konami to my wife the other day. We were watching a film where they talked about it's incidental and not worth explaining, but in a plot point in the film was that a Japanese executive was being shamed by his co-workers, and they were giving him a really lowly position to like either drive him out of the company or shame him. And I was kind of giving her the Kojima like story and like the weird politics of that company. I was explaining it to her, and I think that my point was that like I got to the end of it. I said, the sad thing is, like I said to her, that I was like, if you go up and look at all my Nintendo games, like my old ones, I was like, some of the best ones were made by that company. And that's what really burns about this, that this company has such a great history, and they just have like gone in such a different, bizarre direction so publicly that it hurts. And a lot of people have a lot of resentment. I was just giving her that whole story and saying, yeah, I wish it would turn around too, because what the heck, what the heck.
Yeah. All right. And this other news is interesting. I forgot Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment was coming. When the Switch version came out, like in March, I was like, oh yeah, when's that coming for Wii U? It's like sometime later. It's like, okay, I forgot about it. And then I saw it. Apparently it's available now, which is unfortunate because I won't be able to play it because of Zelda. But yeah, that's out. So if you have it for free or whatever, then pick that up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that it's finally dropping for the 3DS, because I'll definitely play it. So that's going to be awesome. Is that this week, you said, you think?
It's out now, I think.
Oh, wow.
I think it was out a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I haven't turned on my 3DS in a couple of days. It's been sitting on the charger, so I'll have to check that out. Neat.
Nice.
Neat.
And this last thing, apparently you, Unoclay, want some Kirby lingerie.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Who's with me? We finally got what we've always been secretly thinking when we're having sex. I just wish my partner in front of me looked a little bit more like Kirby.
An amorphous blob.
Yeah, a little pink puff ball from Smash Bros. And or his own games that wrap up some Nintendo systems. Yeah. How about that, people? Those were the creepiest pictures I have seen in a minute without accidentally clicking on some kind of headline that I didn't mean to click on, and I quick have to close my browser. And I'm like, oh, no. Like, what is this Kirby? I actually am looking at these pictures. Why don't you describe, Matt, in your words, for anyone who hasn't seen the Kirby lingerie line?
Okay.
What do we see here?
Let me pull it up for a second.
Let's get a visual on this.
Oh, whoops. I didn't copy the wrong thing.
Yeah. Make sure to type the right thing when you.
Well, I have all the links here. But apparently this company's definition of lingerie is basic underwear. That's what I can say. That they have like a sports bra or whatever, some basic underwear stuff, shorts. A sleep mask is the only like sleep related thing basically. And then they have this weird poncho. I mean, it fits for Kirby because he's obviously a circle and whatnot, but it just looks weird. It's like lingerie is kind of supposed to be, sexy and whatnot. Who's gonna be turned on with this like raincoat?
Yeah, there's a few things to point out here. They're like, agreed. Lingerie usually implies something else. That headline is misleading. This is like sleepwear is what you call this. Like, first of all, like, and it's all pink themed, so it's all very clearly for girls, like, which is typically gender appropriate. But hey, whatever.
And it's got Kirby's face on the butt.
Yeah, Kirby's face on your butt.
So weird.
But really, the buried headline here, as they say, is that model that they used. Like, what were they thinking? There is like she looks like she'd be like maybe a goth girl, or like what would you, or like maybe like a wannabe extra from like what's a Joker's girlfriend's name?
Oh, Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn cast off, kind of
without the like white makeup.
Yeah, without the white makeup. But she looks like she's seriously not quite old enough to be in an ad. I'm just going to say she doesn't look quite old enough to be in an ad of this sort.
Yeah, it looks weird. I'm wondering maybe if it's because of this weird eye makeup, which looks really... It looks like she's high, to be quite honest. She has like red marks all the way around her eyes, and I don't know why. I guess it's to make her look more pink to fit Kirby, but she's already wearing pink crap, so it just looks really weird. It looks like she smoked a couple bowls before getting in the sun. She's like, "That's great. You're supposed to look sleepy." It's like, okay.
Yeah, it ticks none of my buttons of, I'm feeling like I should buy something sexy for my significant other. How about, oh my God, no, like, not this. It's like on every level, and I'm a weird dude, and I'm like, this is, I couldn't even think of a way to comically show it to my wife. Like, that's how bad it was. I was like, there's no world where me showing this to her didn't result in like an awkward, like, that's not cool kind of conversation. Like, I'd be like, no, it's funny. Like, no, that wasn't going to happen. I would just like close the box. I was like, not emailing this link to her, not showing her this. She's going to get really worried about me. I'm going to be like, no, I meant it to be funny. I really know I want you.
Here's the thing. I don't think it's intended for, let's just say, keep it on straight, people, to make it easy for myself to explain. I don't think it's for like the guys. I think it's specifically like for the women who just feel like wearing character-related clothing. Because who's honestly going to get turned on with like a character plastered on like something? Like it doesn't. Like, maybe it's just the designer in me that kind of hates that crap, but it doesn't really seem like it would work as it's supposed to be intended.
Yeah, it's
no, I don't want to look at you and then see another face on your body. That's just weird. You have these other eyes peering at you. That's that's the opposite of
with your butt.
That's the opposite of turning someone on. just to go through the motions. Someone's like trying to take off someone's underwear and they see Kirby's face on there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna stop.
There's nothing good here. I just was like, I was flummoxed, and then I realized, this isn't Nintendo. This is some other company.
Yeah.
But you have to license that IP to do this stuff.
Well, licensing still means like they okayed it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's like they okayed it. They probably didn't okay this model or this look. You know what I mean? Like this Joker wannabe, like, that's in this ad. But and I want to say for the record, like, I'm not making fun of the young woman in this ad, like in the way it might sound like I am. I'm not making fun of her looks for being ugly or something like that. I am making fun of the staging of these photos and her makeup and her appearance. Like
they're very weird.
It's very weird. I'm not making fun of her.
And she's not like Kirby's like this cute, happy character, and she looks like pissed off. Yeah, it's like, she looks it's bad enough you have this face on like this supposed underwear thing, but she's also like not suited, posing for the market she's aiming for. It's just like, I'm pissed. It's like, okay, well, the clothing isn't turning people on, and the poses and the model isn't doing it. It's just it's like an anti-ad. It's like, we're going to do the opposite of what's supposed to sell this product.
Ad. Like it. It's the anti-addest ad I've seen this week. That's for hilarious. Sure. Yeah, it's Pepsi making a protest commercial, and it's Nintendo making a Kirby commercial. Like, you don't really want this, do you? Like, maybe it will be so bad it's good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's it, man.
So speaking, one more thing. Speaking of Nintendo themed lingerie, I remembered this other thing came up. It's Pikachu, obviously, because he's licensed for every gosh dang thing on the internet. This is even weirder. Please click the link, Uno.
I am looking at it. Goody. So, at least these girls like look attractive in like a very like straightforward, like, you look like you want to be in this ad. and this one girl looks like she's making out with the other girl's ear, sort of. Like, it's kind of disturbing, but like, okay, like they don't look abused. They look like what you're
like what red eyes is abused.
Like what people at home. There's a thing called Yummy Mart that is like apparently.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize it's the same company too.
Yeah, same company. It's the same company. I'm just realizing it too. That makes Pikachu themed undies, and boy, we're really hawking for these guys this week. Like the Pikachu stuff's more acceptable to me, even though again, I have a hard time imagining a situation personally. But hey, I'm not a furry. I'm not judging anyone who is. It's all good. Like you got to get your kinks. I'm down with that. Like this is not my kink. But there is underwear that if you want your significant other to remind you of Pikachu.
So what makes this weirder is it's not just like clothes with a character plastered on it or a face or a color theme or whatnot. They literally have like a bra and panties with like a bunch of stuffed Pikachu like glued to it. Yeah. It looks like something you would win at like some creepy fair. Like, you know, they have those bottle throwing games and you win like a stuffed animal. This is like the creepy, gross version of that, even though fairs can be like weird on their own.
This is really weird. Yeah,
it's like the county fair to the county fair. It's like the second level. It's the discount county fair.
Imagine like Kirby Mass Attack where there were like 40 Kirbys on screen, and then imagine an Asian girl's naked body. And then put Kirby Mass Attack over the parts that you wanted to look at in like a big gang of like Pikachus, if that makes any sense. And that's what I'm looking at here. This is like gangs of Pikachus on Asian women's places of interest, or not, depending on your interests. It's very bizarre looking, and it's not what I'm looking for in my life, like necessarily. But like it's out there if you need it, people. It's out there if you need it.
Unoclay, very important question.
Yes. I'm in.
Would this count as an orgy? I mean, there's only like 50 of them.
Oh my God, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about this. But their comments are worth looking this up alone. It's on Polygon, people, if you want to see it, and you could probably just Google Pokemon underwear Polygon, and you'll see what we're looking at. So get your Spanx off. There you go. It's good stuff.
Oh man, that was good. Good way to end the podcast.
All right. And there you have it, people. Another great episode in the can. So.
Yeah. So,
I was going to say, because I got to go take care of something.
Oh, gosh. It's the Pikachu, isn't it? It's those fluffy Pikachus you want all over your body.
I'm closing the window.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
Good stuff. We talked about that more than some of these other topics. All right, so you can find me at the Mango Viking on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And actually, I opened up a VidMe account. So a lot of people are opening up VidMe accounts because they think YouTube might be going down the toilet. And VidMe is kind of the next sort of video hosting website that could possibly take on. Well, I mean, like obviously they're not as huge, but they seemed like they have the infrastructure to do it, like being able to upload videos all you want and whatnot. There's a couple of restrictions, but they're easy to get past. But anyway, so if you like VidMe, I'm on there. And yeah, Unoclay, where can people find you?
Nothing specific right now to promote. So if you want to follow me, my gaming account on Twitter, as I'm thinking of it now, it is Unoclay_Switch. That's UNOCLAY_Switch. I don't post that often. So if you need a follower who occasionally posts funny pictures from Legend of Zelda or other Switch games, or occasionally retweets a funny meme, but not very often, then I'm your guy. And that'd probably be the place to check me out. I'm still on my IGN with 2 other folks. And so if you want to help us reboot my IGN, like Phoenix rising from the ashes, come on over and follow me there. And if you wanted to hit me up and be friends on Switch, I've got lots of player spaces remaining, and I'd like to build a little community on there. So you can hit me up on my Twitter most likely, and we can exchange friend codes. So there you go.
Cool. So wherever you're listening, you can find us at Just Another Castle on basically every platform on the internet. So until next time, we'll So until next time, leave luck to the heavens and leave gaming to Nintendo.